What's up, everybody? It's Kovvu, and I'm back with another banger for you guys. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 things I wish I knew before starting music, specifically rapping. So if you're an inspiring artist, an up-and-coming artist, independent music artist, this video is for you. I'm fresh into my music journey, and so far I've come across so many things that I wish I knew before I started. And the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be investing. When you're doing music on your own, not signed to a label, you're going to be investing into yourself a lot. Meaning, when it comes to buying beats, um, you know, producing beats, when it comes to music videos and production, also promotion as well, you're going to be putting a lot of money and time in to your craft. And it's going to probably be a while before you see the proceeds start to come back. Um, that's going to be well worth it in the end. And I believe that's the hardest stretch and push so far, is because everything you're going to have to drop a bag on. And so it comes down to, what's a way to be self sufficient while going on this journey with music, not signed to a label. Some of the things that I found that worked for me was getting my own recording studio. Like, what I found worked for me best is getting FL Studio, BandLab from home, on your laptop, on your cell phone. A lot of these things are at your disposal thanks to technology. Modern technology is amazing. So when you start learning how to use these softwares yourself, um, and these music production softwares for yourself, you're going to figure out what's best and how you can maneuver it as in investing into your music, instead of constantly going to the music studio, which may be far, or which may be 200-300 an hour. And let's be honest, most people that are working a 9 to 5 just don't have that much bread to drop on, you know, shooting in the studio, recording in the studio, and then going to pay for shooting the video on top of paying for promotion and buying your beats or making your beats, whatever. Time is money, you see. So after getting FL Studio, BandLab, and going to the studio here and there, I found kind of like a balance where I like to record a lot from home. 9 times out of 10, it's really just me practicing, because when I'm ready, I'll go to the studio. But as far as money is concerned, I do have the proper resources here at home to go ahead and do everything I need to do for my music. Pawn shops can be your best friend. I got my speakers from the pawn shop, my microphone from the pawn shop, my studio headphones from the pawn shop. I got a lot of things, just your basic starter kit for recording music at home. And that way I don't have to constantly go out my way to the studio unless I know I'm ready to spend that type of money and I have it, and it's just something that I could throw out there instead of constantly running back and forth like, dang, I don't have money to record for my song, to put my music out there, so I have to wait months and weeks at a time. Because when you are putting yourself out there on a platform, to gain a following, you need consistency. So investment is something that a lot of people just don't really realize how much they're going to have to do when starting in the music industry. The second thing that I want to talk about is going to be okay, so the second thing I'm going to talk about is going to be distribution. How do you get yourself on these major platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Pandora, you name it? So a lot of people understand that they can make money off of putting their music on major platforms. But how do you get to that point? And how are you making money off of these major platforms by putting your music out there? I started back in, I think was it April? April was my first single release. and I released my first song using United Masters. That's my distributor, and there's a couple of distributors out there like DistroKid, United Masters, a couple of other people. And what they do is they push your music and they get your songs onto major platforms, and they collect revenue based off of your streams. So you're receiving income and money based off of the streams that you have. I believe it goes by the amount of hours and how many streams that you have. So that's what I found to be only one out of, I think, 4 or 5 streams of income that you make from the music industry. And that's only part of it because that's your distributors, which will tie into like the third point. And approaching that point would be there's more than one way to collect your money, your royalties. So if you're independent, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be owning your royalties. Some of the distributors, they do take, I think, a 10% fee from what I've seen, and 90% you own of your royalties. But that's really just to put your music out there. So overall, you own your royalties. So, for example, if someone were to be signed to a label, they're basically getting a cash advance, meaning they have to pay that back. And so, doing so, you don't know when or how long it's going to take to do that, and you've got to constantly push out music for these labels. Versus if you're independent and you're recording your music and you're releasing it by yourself, not attached to any label, then you would own everything. So learning that there is ASCAP, what is the other one? I think it's BMI, I believe. I went with ASCAP, and let me search the acronym for you real quick for ASCAP. Let's see. That's gonna be the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. So that's what that means. So currently you are looking at a publisher, a composer, and a songwriter, an author. My songs are officially copyrighted. They are in the system, and that is another way to make your income off of your music, which that will be going off of, I believe, performances, radio plays, radio interviews, and things like that. Other ways that your music is being pushed out, and revenue is being collected in those aspects. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there's really not a major difference between ASCAP and BMI. Let me see. I just want to go ahead and BMI music registration. Let's see what BMI stands for. That way I'm giving you guys the correct information. BMI. It's a performing rights organization. But what does the actual acronym stand for? What does BMI stand for? It says Broadcast Music Incorporated, so Inc. So that's what BMI stands for. And I would say the scaling difference on how they determine, your payout and who collects what is going to be a minor difference. It's going to be a minor difference between ASCAP and BMI. ASCAP, I believe they have this new system where it goes 50-50 ratio from, I believe, is it publisher and let me see, ASCAP. scaling system. I believe it's going to be like 50% author, like and composer, and the other 50% should total out to, I believe, the producer or something like that. And if there isn't one, then either way, it still should total out 50-50 to make 100. I don't know. It's some new scaling system that they have.
5 hours later.
So I guess what I was trying to say was it's going to be between the composer and the publisher. Out of the whole pie, it's supposed to equal 100%. So it's 50-50 to each, which totals out to 100. The scale is very interesting as to how it comes up with, the determination of royalties being paid out and things like that. Also, with the amount of times that a song is played, for example, on a radio station or, these streaming apps, if one song does a lot of has a lot of plays or shares, then it will get paid out more than, for instance, another song that's not, that's doing the same amount of numbers as that song that's getting a lot of streams and a lot of getting a lot of streams and a lot of getting a lot of streams and getting a lot of playtime. The fourth thing that I want to go into is that getting a manager is one of the hardest things. You would think finding a manager as an independent artist would be easier, but it's not. It's easier said than done because a lot of these managers go for artists that are usually already well established, which means they built their own following. They have their foot in the door with shows and things like that. And, from my understanding, managers really come in and they help, get you more of a fan base by being able to get you bookings in shows and, you being able to expand yourself to get more of a following. But so far, managers are not willing to, take on someone fresh with their foot on the ground, especially if you don't even have an ASCAP or a BMI. And also, you don't really have a following on your social media platforms. And, you haven't really had any shows or bookings, which is kind of unfortunate, but that just means you got to keep digging. And a lot of them are willing to give you courses of what to do on how to build your following on your platforms. So that way, that's like the start of what they would like, because that's the start of everything on how they're going to be able to move from there. And I just find it difficult because if it's not one thing, it's another when it comes down to doing your music and also having to push yourself very hard and work overdrive while having to invest in yourself so that your music can in turn invest back into you. And so right now, one of the main struggles that I have personally that hopefully I can help somebody watching this video is building a following. paying for promotions and ads, that helps here and there. But I feel like personally, my direct approach would be better if I was able to, get a booking or a show and be able to put my name out there in that way. So that way people can start following my social media and, they can actually get that content, get what they're looking for as far as my music and being able to connect with me as the artist and I can connect with, the audience. And so I actually did have a show, but it turned out to just be wonky. It flopped. So that means another opportunity moving forward. And that brings me into my last point that I would like to get into. The fifth thing that I wish I knew before I started rapping and doing music would be, um, getting my foot wet when it comes to doing live performances, shows and bookings and etc. The way that things are supposed to go versus how they actually go are completely different. If you've actually got someone that's on top of their stuff, a good solid manager that's managed a few artists, and they don't have to be A or B list artists, just artists in general, and already know how the operations are supposed to go in the swing of things, then I would suggest, holding off on that because, essentially these people just come in and they waste your time. And also, if you're freshly new, beggars can't be choosy. So I feel like if they're giving you an opportunity to perform your music in front of an audience and they don't pay you and it's your first couple of performances, I would say, take what you can get. And then once you've done a couple, then, you can start walking in booked and paid instead of coming in not knowing, what's ahead, if you're going to be able to perform or not, and if it's going to be a waste of your time or not. 9 times out of 10, the operation should go where, you're meeting with the manager, they get you booked, and the venue for the club or wherever you're performing is put together, scheduled, and is guaranteed. When you're dealing with amateurs or people that are unprofessional, it's best to just stay away from that because it's going to send you in loops. And, that's not something you need when you're trying to build consistency, especially for a following. So I would say how to mitigate this would be doing your research, maybe even emailing to keep it professional so that way you could reach out to the managers and do inquiries to see who's really serious, who really wants to take your time serious and actually conduct business with you, because overall this is a business. The music industry is an industry, a $1 billion industry, and at the end of the day there's protocols and guidelines that need to be followed, and especially if you are trying to succeed out there and get the results that you're looking for as far as connecting with the audience, building a fan base, and building a following as well. A lot of times, people are looking for visuals to go with the music. So whether that's doing a couple of videos and putting your song on it and dancing to it or lip syncing to it and putting the words at the bottom of the screen, I would suggest doing that too and sharing it on your social media platforms. TikTok is a really good way, to get your music out there at a faster rate. Instagram, and then, Facebook and everything else will follow afterwards. And right now, I'm taking my own advice and I'm giving everybody else because I'm realizing that I had to rebrand what, I had going on with my music personally so that I can, start somewhere at a solid foundation to aim for the results that I'm looking for when it comes to putting myself out there with my music. So hopefully this helped you guys a little bit. If there's anything that I missed or something that you would like to know about, just leave it in the comments down below. And if you've made it this far, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also, please be on the lookout moving forward for more videos and tips about what artists should be looking for that are independent and starting their music journey. Even if you've been in the music game, just other tips and pro tools and things like that that can be useful for you. So until next time, I'm out of here. Never could imagine my life like this.